Where do you guys from?
Anyway, this is a clinic sponsored by the NMRA 4th Division, and we are grateful to the 4th Division for paying our rent, and I guess you guys should be too. So thank you. If anybody here does not know this, you can subscribe to the Grab Iron, which is the 4th Division's sort of online breaking news type newsletter. It used to be a monthly thing, and now it's just as stuff happens. You can subscribe. You don't have to be an NMRA member. Nobody's going to try and get you to join. It's free, and you find out a lot of good stuff happening, not just about clinics, but about other things. So, if you want information on how to do that, let me know. And for those of you that are thinking maybe I might want to be an NMRA member, I don't know. Well, there's a rail pass. The NMRA program has called a rail pass. It's $19.95 for 9 months, and you can try it out. Test drive it. Dave, I know Dave Sherwood went that route, and so that's available. I have forms if you want to take one. And as usual, my reminder is to check your email the day of the clinic to make sure something terrible hasn't happened and we're still going to be here. And also remember that we have changed our monthly meetings to March through November, taking the winter months off. And that'll be a good thing. So the next little segment here is it's time to embarrass people. I want to single out Tom Buckingham in the red shirt and get him looking as red as his shirt. Tom, I, Ted Becker, and Nick were the original. Well, we used to carpool to the Oak Harbor Clinic, as Susan and Phil can attest. And we said, no, not we. Somebody said, why don't we start our own clinic in Oak Harbor? And I groaned because I know that's not fun. But we did start a clinic over here, and Tom, since day one in 2015, has kept the roster, done the name tags, kept the mailing list, sent out the newsletter, and for that, a lot of thanks goes to Tom for all that work, and we appreciate it. Everybody, let's give it a try. And Tom would have kept going, but since we decided to meet through the summer, he's gone a lot in the summer, so he passed off the task to Steve McCart.
Wait, what?
Yes. Check your email. You got work, buddy. So thanks to Steve McCart for taking over the mailing list. That's a big responsibility, and we appreciate it. You guys have noticed that the newsletter looks a lot better in the last few months. Well, that's because Steve has taken my poor attempt with a Word document and turned it into a really nifty-looking publication. So we appreciate that, Steve. And to Bob Stafford, standing back here, he's our new videographer. He is taking videos, so you guys, if you're going to stand up front and give the clinic tonight, you don't want to be doing something embarrassing because it's going to be caught in film, film, yeah, digital. So Bob, thank you for that, and thank you for handling the name tags. Everybody has name tags now, and don't forget when you leave to leave your name tag with Bob, or else he'll come to your house and get it. Yes, sir.
Do you guys have any more information about the Tacoma,
Train trip?
yeah.
What was the question, Steve?
About the train trip.
Okay, I'm coming to that. Hang on. Okay. I think he wants to go.
Yeah. He just wants to get out of school.
Yeah, that's it. I got some bad news on that respect. Also, since we're embarrassing people, congratulations go again to Steve McCart, because he's the new president of the Lockton-Skagit Montero Club for a 2-year incarceration.
What? Wait, what?
Yes. You didn't know, did you?
Retirement's not all it's cracked up.
An update on Dale Bearden. He's home, recovering from the heart surgery he had, getting stronger every day, going on some walks with his wife, and hopes to be back here in the fold maybe next month. So that's good news. So Dale Bearden. This is a segment called Did You Know? Did you know about the BNSF unit oil train? You guys remember that? The 100-car trains that were coming 6 days a week from South Dakota to Anacortes. We had a clinic when we were still going to Oak Harbor from the transportation share department head there at the refinery, Tesoro refinery. And he gave a really great clinic, showed the massive infrastructure there where they bring the train in. They have to break it into 4 25-car segments and so forth and so on. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but the train hasn't been running recently. And I didn't realize it until I was told when I was talking to this same clinician, because I wanted him to come back and do it again. They don't run the unit train anymore because the Swinomish Indians had a agreement with them from way back when that you could run a 20-car train a couple days a week, whatever it is, over their property to the refinery. Well, BNSF just took it upon themselves to, we're running this 100-car train 6 days a week, and so it kind of got ugly, and then they went to court, and then the Swinomish offered them an idea, a package, a proposal, and BNSF didn't answer it, so they said, that's it, that's the end of it. So they're back to just the small trains that run out to Anacortes these days, small compared to the unit train, Tom.
But you know, you and I talked about that about, what, a week ago or so?
Yeah.
The day after, I saw a 100-car train going north on the track, so I don't know where it was going.
Probably Cherry Point.
Cherry Point.
Cherry Point, probably.
Cherry Point?
Well, most likely. Was it a tank train or
Yeah,
coal?
okay,
'Cause
no, all kinds.
Yeah. Future clinics in May, our own Bob Stafford, also the name tag guru and the videographer. How are you going to do this? Next month he's going to be the clinician. Are you going to run back and turn the camera on?
He's a little better at taking notes and talking than you are.
You think so? I hope so. I hope he's a lot better. Bob will talk to us about BNSF unit, grain, and coal train operations. Did I get it right? Okay, good deal. That's in May. In June, we are going to reprise last year's field trip. It's going to be an annual thing. At least this is the second annual. We'll see if you guys behave yourselves and we get a third. We're going to go to Nick Muff's house instead of meeting here on that third Monday. And there'll be information in the newsletter. I'm going to require you guys to let me know so I can keep a list so we don't get the wrong kind of people showing up. There's a couple of your wrong kinds out there.
We're out, John.
Yeah. Roger, try and be here on time, would you? Oh, no, sorry. So that's in June. We're going to Nick Muff's layout. We got to get information to Levi so he can get over there too. His eyes are going to blow out of his head.
Are we meeting the carpooling to keep down the number of people?
Your house?
Okay.
Okay. We'll give you directions to Steve's house. He lives in Cedar Woolley, and he'll chauffeur people. We had by the way, I asked for people to give me suggestions for clinic ideas, and this one tonight is a request from John O'Connell here. And then I also had a request from Steve Londino. He wanted something on 3D printing. What is this mythical 3D printing thing? I know you can get stuff, but what is it? So Nick Muff, once again, is going to give us a high-level view of 3D printing. So, in other words, make it uncomplicated so anybody could, if you wanted to, go down that path. That'll be in July. We haven't got any farther than July at this point. Talking about the field trip to Tacoma, we had selected May 7th or 14th, but that's out. Those were Tuesdays. Tuesday is the club down there. It's their normal work day, kind of like Watcom Club has Tuesday work days. They decided that they're kind of excited that we're coming, so you guys better show up, you know. They think this is really cool, and they didn't want us to come on a work day. It'd be kind of confusing, so we're going to go on a Thursday. And I'm not sure the date yet. I'm probably going to push it from May, maybe into June. It'll be on a Thursday. And I looked at the Amtrak website, which is trip in itself. And I'm not real sure what I read there, but the fare obviously would be different. The idea is Dave Sherwood could get on in Bellingham, and Don, and whoever lives up there that wants to go. I'll get on in Mount Vernon. Dave Stanwood, Dave Stanwood, that kind of a thing. So it'll be a little less for the farther south you go, yes? Don't confuse me.
No. What you want to check for if there's a Mariners game on that day, because you will not get on the train.
Okay, thank you. That's a good one. Make a note. Pause while I make a note. Mariners. Of course, the way they're going, it. Okay, so as soon as I hear back from Nick as to his availability, because I wanted to make sure he could go, we will get the date out. It might be a special mailing from our newsletter publisher, mailer guy. We'll get the word to you. But you'll be responsible for buying your own ticket from wherever. Probably want to get a round trip ticket. My wife suggested I get a one-way ticket. When we get to Tacoma, the Amtrak station, we get off the train, and apparently Tacoma Light Rail is right there. And I see a head nodding. You've done this? You know this, okay. And it runs every 12 minutes according to my contact there. And it takes us right to the front door of the museum. Maybe it's the back door, but it's there anyway. And because we're going down separately like that, I'm not sure if we have to pay museum admission or not. I'll find that out. But again, you'll need to figure out your own expenses. Your own, how you're going to pay. I don't know if it's credit cards or cash or what. I'll try and find out for you and get the word out, but you want to be prepared. And your meals, obviously, that long of a day, we're going to need to get something to eat, so you're on your own for that too. Any questions on that, other than the date?
So can you buy the Amtrak tickets online or on the train, or how does that work?
Yes, you can. And once I get a date out to you guys, I suggest you do buy your tickets if you can ahead of time. I don't know, Jim, can you buy them on the train, like from the conductor, or how does that work?
Yes, because there's some places where there's no station, you just get on.
Like Stanley?
Yeah, so you pay it when you get on board.
Do they take credit cards on board?
They look like that's what they have, so.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Do they take cash on board?
That I don't know.
Do they take HO trains and train?
That'd be a good thing, huh?
Yeah, it would be.
Only if you're Burlington Northern.
Yeah, right. Amtrak train, yeah. Okay, as soon as I get more info, I'll get it out. Could I see a show of hands that you really want to do this? I don't want to see the maybes, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put your hand up? No. 10?
I don't think it'll be.
Yeah, in June. So we got about a dozen people. Okay,
Depends on
good.
what day they pick.
Good.
You get out of school on the 11th. You get out of school on the 11th.
June 11th, okay. I'll make a note of that, so we schedule for the 10th. No, I'm kidding. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. Oh, and the last open house of the season for the Watkins Skagit Model Railroad Club is coming up May 11th. That's a Saturday, second Saturday. So if you want to come up to the club on that open house, we would encourage you to come. We'd like to see visitors. If you want to come other times, you can probably work it out on a Tuesday morning or a Saturday morning. Don and Dave are almost always there those days, and so are the rest of us. Yes, Levi? The thumb. What's the thumb? You hitchhiking?
No.
Oh, no. You want to go to the club?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have your license yet? Can you drive?
No. My parents give me, though.
I see. Okay, good. All right. Any announcements from, Joyce, yes.
Tom, John.
John White, anybody here besides Phil and Sue, and Tom, and Joyce probably don't know him. John White passed away. He's an 0-30 modeler, lives in Anacortes, lived in Anacortes. Very good modeler, and his 0-30 layout and cars and locomotives and so forth is available. They're looking for someone to help you know, with the liquidation of the estate or buy it or something. The layout was built in modular sections that are like 2 by 6 maybe, or 2 by 8, lineal, and it's in his basement, so in theory, you could take it out and plug it in someplace else with probably minimal work. Really great modeler, scratch-built structures and so forth. So, Tom,
Yeah, could I elaborate a little bit on?
elaborate a little bit.
If I can stand out. First of all, is anybody here into ON30? There's at least one.
You're lucky there. I'll talk to you.
Anyway, I got to know John White 24 years ago when my wife and I moved to Anacortes from Kirkland, and turned out our next door neighbor had just moved from Spokane to Anacortes, and we got acquainted with him, and it was kind of a surprise. Joyce took him a treat to welcome him to the neighborhood. It turned out they had moved in just about, 2 weeks before we did. And Joyce came in, and over the fireplace was a beautiful painting of sailboats. And so Joyce, being a sailor, asked him about him, and he says, yeah, he had a sailboat. So we became very close and got to talking sailing. While John and I were talking sailing, Valerie, his wife, and Joyce were talking about the move from hell. It was quite an ordeal moving for us from Kirkland and them from Spokane. And as they were talking about it, Valerie said, if it wasn't for that damn layout, it would have been fine. And so we asked quickly, or Joyce asked, in layout, like in a train layout? And she said, and John's eyes lit up like that. And turned out he was a model railroader, at that time modeling British train. He had quite a 00 scale, I don't know how long was that, about 10 or 12 feet long in a couple pans. Anyway, we became friends, and like I say, we're friends for 24 years. Anyway, his son, who lives in Canada, he lives up at Whistler, contacted me and asked me if I had any advice or any suggestions on what to do with his layout. And his layout is, I can't remember the exact dimensions, but I remember going to John's house when their house was still under construction, and going down on the lower level, walked into a room that was about as long as this room here, maybe the width, a little narrower. Anyway, I said, "What are you going to do with that? Put in a bowling alley?" And he said, "No." He says, "That's going to be my train." And so he changed from continuing with the 00 scale to HO, and he built a couple modules, beautifully done, of the west portal to the mountain over Stevens Pass. And he had me design a layout for that whole room. So after several attempts to come up with something and different ideas on it, ON30 was brand new at that time. And John picked up some of it and got intrigued with it, and now he probably has his biggest collection of ON30 equipment that I can't imagine. Somebody said he's got one of every engine that Bachmann ever made.
Two of every.
Two of every.
Two of every.
Anyway, Martin, his son, contacted me and, like I say, was wondering how to dispose of all this. And I was kind of, we've talked about it at the Oak Harbor Club about what to do, because believe it or not, some of us are getting kind of old.
Surprise.
All the except me. Anyway, so if anyone is interested, I suggested to Martin that, first thing I asked him was, what do you want? You're gonna want to see if you can sell it all together as one big sale? And he said, well, that would be preferable. I said, but yeah, probably would, but the likelihood of that happening is zilch. But there is a lot of equipment and some beautiful, especially his engines, because every single one of them is equipped with DCC and sound. And some of them are little, and some of them are quite good size. So anyway, if anyone is interested in acquiring any of this stuff from John's layout, you contact me, or if all else fails, Al.
Put it on the paper that's being sent around.
Oh yeah, and that paper is sent around. Put your name and
I'll talk
credentials.
to you. I'm in a club with Going 30.
What's that?
I belong to a club with Going 30.
Oh, you do belong to?
Likely prospect, that's where you're
Yeah.
headed.
Yeah.
Got a deal for you. Anyway, just let us know and we'll see. It's going to take a while to go through it, but it's beautiful stuff. And some of the modules, John had members of our group, if you wanted to build a module and contribute it to his layout. So I think there's 3 or 4 that were built by different members of the club. And some of those were really terrific. So anyway, that's, how many members you got?
I'm sure all together. I'll talk to you.
Okay, very good.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Any other announcements for the good of the order or the bad of the order? Let's move into tool time, and I will start it off tonight because I wanted to take an opportunity to mention the NMRA magazine. If you're a member of the NMRA, you can subscribe to this. And in it is a section called the tool car. Anybody ever seen this before? Yeah, okay, so Osmo, yeah. And he has done this tool car for, boy, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. And he always starts off with, hi, my name is Jack and I am a tool junkie. And he introduces a bunch of new tools every month, 6, 8, 10 of them, whatever. And a couple of months ago, he made the comment that he does not receive any donations from anybody. He buys all this stuff. Holy crap, this guy's got a wallet. Well, anyway, so I read it. It's cost me some money. In fact, in this particular issue, I bought 2 things. And thanks to the online hobby shop that we all know and love, Amazon, I brought 2 things. They arrived in the mail, of course, overnight. You know how that goes. The first one, it's in this magazine if you want to see it, and I'll pass one of them around. They said you can get 2 for $6 or something. But it's a device that you can place your wire into when you're trying to make a joint to hold it. It's a lot easier to me than those extra hand things with the alligator clips and you're trying to bend them and so forth. And so I thought that's really slick. And it has a magnetic or magnets on the bottom so you could stick it on something that's to keep it from sliding around. I'll put this one here, Steve, if you want to take a picture of that one. Cool. And the other thing they had in there, I knew I'd find used for these Crown Royal bags. You can read into that what you want. It is a vacuum. And it's really slick for vacuuming in tight little places. They have attachments, so you can get right in to get the small spots on your layout without sucking up the stuff you don't want to. And on the reverse end, it works as a blower. You can put on an adapter here and you can use it to blow stuff. So, and it was 20, well, it says $26.90 here. I think I got mine for 25 something. And it's USB
Everyone's got to have.
charge, and it holds a charge for a long time according to Jack. And it has the clear cylinder so you can see the debris when it needs to be dumped. In fact, there's a screw in there right now, and a filter and so forth.
Isn't the bag part of the tool?
Yeah, right. Make sure you get the bag out there, yes. Little brother.
Where's the bottle?
Okay.
My pickup.
Who else brought a tool tonight? David, what do you got?
This is a 12-inch digital scale skill level that I use all the time, and it reads out in percentage grade, and I just can move it wherever I want on the layout. I've been doing a helix, and it works really swell to just go around and get the grade at 2.1% all the way around.
So who's the manufacturer and where'd you buy it from?
Skill, and I bought it on Amazon. I bought it in 2019, it was $39.99. I checked this morning and it's now $56.92
You want to sell that
on
one?
Amazon.
Such a deal.
Okay, Dave, thank you. Anybody else bring a tool? Ronald?
Somebody last time was talking about, we're doing something with small screws and everything, I don't remember what it was.
Holding it, that was Steve.
I've used one of these for quite some time. I don't know if anybody, it's a hand drill, if you want to look at it that way, but
Can you stand up and hold it so we can photograph it?
it's getting harder and harder to do all the time.
Oh,
Anyway, what I've done with mine is this is an Allen wrench that was, you can pick up any place, this is a ball end. But get something like this, turn it down, and you put it in a drill or something, or drill press, and put an end on it, and make a nice point, and use it for all kinds of things, for marking holes or whatever, right? And I just turn it around the other way so I don't poke myself with it, the DC stuff. Anyway.
Is that battery operated, or?
Yeah, it's the hand wrist.
Oh, okay, I thought it had batteries on the handle.
Oh, no.
Armstrong.
Armstrong.
I've had this for quite a while, I'm not sure where it came from. It says General on it, and I don't know how much they cost.
Treat you.
Oh, okay. This is another one that I made about 50 years ago. And this is just, I don't know if you know the little hand crank drills that you get, are used to? You see one of those. This is a file handle. Put a screw inside and stick it on. It's the same thing as the other one. And this one I have it's actually a welding rod. Made a point on that. It's the same thing with it. But this one was pretty cheap. I don't know if you can find these things much anymore. But secondhand stores and stuff. But I use them all the time. So.
Thanks, Ron. Anybody else? Lee? Sure, yeah, that's great. It's a tool or material.
Yeah, tool or material, you bet. This is new from Walters. I have a section in my railroad where I have Nason Creek with a trestle over it and the tracks coming around from both sides, and everything's been glued down for various reasons. So I have these two short sections where I need to make everything meet. And I was going to originally just cut the track and fit it again and so forth. And found these on Walters. It's new. It's expandable track. You just take it, pull, and there you go. You fit it right in. And so all you have to do is measure for that, and then you don't have to be terribly precise because this will fit right in. Another thing that is nice is that it's already set for rail joiners, so you don't have to snip ties and do all of that sort of thing. So I'm going to try it. Thought you might, someone here, if you're still laying track and all of that, you might find it worth your doing. I'll pass one each direction. You can see how it works, and I run things over it, and it works just fine. So just a
And
little.
it's code 100?
This is code 100, but you can get it at least in 83. And the part number for 100 I brought along was 948-10091. And it's right in the Walters catalog. It was scheduled to be ready fall of this year, but they got it done early. So I saw it and I said, yeah, I think I'll do that rather than snip and, all of that sort of thing. So, there you go.
Very good.
You bet.
Sure could have used those things in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, let's move into Modeler Showcase. I see a RS something or other back there. Is that yours, Bob?
Yes.
How are you going to talk to us and do the camera and this ought to be good?
I'll take photographs of everything and
Okay.
I'll splice them in.
So tell us about your locomotive.
Okay, the RS2 is just an Atlas RS2, the yellow box one. I've got it painted with Monomasters gloss black. I used microscales, Lehigh New England striping on it. My friend in Jersey, Paul Tupoleski, makes custom decals, and he made the lettering for it and the herald that's on the side for my Susquehanna and Hudson River Railroad. So it's in progress. That's the decaling on it now, and then next I've got to detail it up. So I'll be bringing it back when I get details on it.
Okay. Steve, you're going to grab photos of those things, right? Or you have already? All right.
I'm a professional.
I scribbled what I could, but I'll probably be emailing you, Bobby, for some clarification, so read your email. Bob's one of these kind of guys that I have to send him a text to tell him to read his email. And you're not alone. There's Mr. Ron, what's his name? He's at the club. Ron. Yeah, lost it. Anyway, yeah, he's the same way. I gotta text them to get them to read their email. Who else back there? The Shay. Who's the Shay? You're the Shay.
Yeah. What the Shay is, it's one of the original Roundhouse kits. I built that thing 40 years ago, old open frame motor, and it ran really good. It's been sitting in a box for the last 30 years. And so I'm gonna go ahead, I got the new Shay handbook that came out. And I'm going to go ahead and do all the upgrades, and I just thought I'd bring it in every month and show everybody how much I got done. So far I've got the bowl gears, the line shafts. I just ordered a new motor. I finally found one of those. A few more detailed parts, and I'll get it all together. DCC the thing. I don't think I can fit sound in it. It's just so small. I don't think, maybe that's something some of you guys know things about, but I'll just keep bringing it in for everybody.
Do that. We'd like to see your progress. We encourage people to bring models in progress. Anybody can see completed stuff. Let's see half done. For those of you that don't know, Phil and Susan are heavyweights, quote unquote. Sorry, that didn't come out right.
He didn't really mean that.
It's the best.
He takes that back.
They are very important people of the Oak Harbor Skagit Whitby Clinic over there. They appreciate their presence by coming here.
Did you mean to say heavy-handed?
I don't care who you are, that's funny right there.
I won't forget that.
Anybody
I almost thought I was
take
Mr.
over run the
Susan.
clinic?
Hey, nice spell, but not so much.
That one's going that way.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Taking foot out of mouth, moving on. Who did the, Doug, your building, I know that's yours.
I just threw a little stuff together, made a little mini diorama. I guess you call it multimedia. The structure is wood. The billboard was one of the card model deals, and some little 3D printed stuff that I've done recently. So.
Okay.
You didn't call him fat.
I'm afraid of him. Let's see, if I missed anybody back there, there's a combine or something there. Tom?
That's, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the old Ambroid kits. Well, that little combine started out as an Ambroid combine. It was a little bit longer, had 2 baggage doors on each side. I shortened it, redid the roof, and built a cupola for it and turned it into a, as the model railroader called it, a one-car mixed train. Anyway, I started construction on that in 1956. I was a freshman in college. I'd already done my term in the Navy and then came back, and so I picked this up and started putting it together. And I don't know, how many years ago would that be? Anyway.
67, Tom, I was born then. It was a very good year.
How convenient.
Was it 57?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
The article, I used to know what year the model railroad it was in, 1940 something. Anyway, the author of that article was a guy named Merck Hobson, and he happened to be the dean of the College of Engineering and Architecture at the University of Nebraska. And he had built the original of it, so I thought, that looks pretty neat. So I copied it. Mine wasn't quite as neat as his was, but anyway. So I worked on it during school. I worked on it for years later. I think I finally got it to the stage that it's in now, and I wouldn't call it finished. But,
Why rush it, right?
It's only been 67
Take your
years.
time.
but I've got everything in it but lighting, and so I thought I better come to the meeting tonight and find out how to put lighting in. Anyway. Thank you.
You win the longevity award.
Anybody else besides me? I'll go last. Somebody else? Okay, in the back there's a Alaska Railroad passenger car, and that was one that I used last month in the mini clinic showing you how to remove the number. And I have since put the new number on it, and I just brought it to show you that I followed through and actually did a job, so it's done. The other one is the gas station. That's a work in progress. That's the kit from Nick, one of one on the gas station. And I decided it was going to be a Shell station, hence it's yellow and red. It's not a specific Shell prototype. There's photographs there. If you remember, I don't know what its original heritage was as a gas station, but it was a radiator repair shop in Seattle for a long time. And that's what the photograph showed. And then, as you remember, Nick went down to get real measurements and had dinner because it's now a Mediterranean restaurant. And he gave it a 5-star review, by the way. Well, he had to because he asked permission to go around and measure everything and take pictures and stuff. And the 3 gas station signs there. Okay, so I had this sheet of Shell microscale decals. And, you know, if you think about a Shell gas station, right, it's the sign is the shape of a shell, right? So I'm thinking, well, okay, I got this decal. How in the heck am I gonna, that's not the word I used, cut out a sign in the shape of this shell? Because it's not symmetrical. Each little scallop is a different deal. Nick, hey, can you help me, buddy? And sure, he took this decal sheet and scanned it in his computer turned that into a CAD drawing and printed, or no, laser cut on 015, I think it was, styrene, 2 of the shells. And then he cut some more that were thicker, and so he laminated this whole thing together with a slot in the center for the post, and you can see that they're on the post now. And I also had a standard station sign and then a mobile one, and the mobile one was paper. The standard was a decal, but it was an old one. So I took these home and I worked on them, and I took the standard one. I'll do that one first, and I just put it in the water, and I went to pick it up, and the decal just went pooch. It was old, and I didn't follow that #1 rule for old decals. What do? Spray them with clear coat first, and let it dry, and then that brings them back to life. Well, I didn't do that, of course. So I had to resort to the paper copies he made for those 2 signs, but the shell is actually decal on both sides. You can see the holes where they came from. And it's really become the gas station from hell. Quite an undertaking. Okay, no more messages or announcements. Let's take a quick break so we can all get lined up to see what Don can tell us about passenger car lighting and caboose lighting. Don't forget our caboose.
So I play with passenger car lights and caboose markers and things like that. And I was thinking back, where did that come from? You know, why did I do that? And I thought back, well, when I was about Levi's age, we'd get out in the garage, and I'd run my trains around, and we'd turn off the lights, and we'd have some street lights and stuff like that, and the headlight on the engine and things like that. And we'd go over to other kids' homes, and they'd have the big line of passenger cars with the silhouettes in the windows, you know. And life couldn't have been any better. And so I think that's where it all started. Anyway, tonight, really the purpose here is to give you some information that I encountered about lighting cars and cabooses, and maybe some new stuff for you, probably some old stuff. So speaking of old stuff, this is a battery holder with a coin battery. And we use that every once in a while. You can't get much more primitive than that, but it works. And it turns out these silly batteries really have a long half-life, long life if you remember to turn them off. So this battery holder has a switch on it, but we never use it. Let's see, where do we go from here? So this is the bottom of an Amtrak car, and here's a little miniature switch built in, and that kind of helps us remember to turn off the battery. And here's a rather crowded photo of the Amtrak car from the top, and these are the 2 marker lights at the end of this tail car. Here we have the marker lights. Down here, I'm sorry, it's not showing up well, is the switch. And then here's our little battery holder with the coin-sized battery in it. So, back in, 95, I think it was, I was living in Delaware for some reason. And, yeah, a lot of Delaware stories. Anyway, I was trying to figure out how to light this Athearn passenger car. It's a Pullman. And an article came out in Model Railroader. It said, well, just put this little battery holder down in the bottom where the real battery box is on the model, and put an in-size battery, if you can find them, in there. And I did find them, and they are rechargeable. they last about 40 minutes or so. And there's the battery, there's the car, and here's our little battery holder here. And that's what it looks like as it lies down the ground. And it produces a nice glow inside. There are 3 yellow lights. And for something that's stupidly simple, it works. But things advance, and I had to go to rail power. And so these are pickups that I've encountered that I think are kind of neat. So here's a caboose propped up on some coins, and here is a pickup that is situated vertically, and it extends over toward the axle points. And so these axle points ride on this vertical pickup. I've got one here, 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 and here, and it works amazingly well. And it's just like a thin brass, very thin brass plate that has been soldered to. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yep. So as things advanced, I ran across these pickups, axle pickups, and they were made by Miniatronics. And it's a product that's, it's a reasonable product, because attached to this is a small light board. I'm not sure Miniatronics is going to make them anymore. They are on their website, but they may not be in production. But it's a nice, flexible pickup that presses against the axle here and here. Oh, this one's not going to show up at all. All right. So as time advanced, technology advanced, a guy named at the Streamline Back Shop produced these little punch-out pickups, and you had to bend them in the shape and everything, but it extends. It's 2 layers, one on top of the other, and it's insulated by a plastic washer, but it extends from here over to here, and then kind of around the back of the wheel, same here, around the back of the wheel, presses against that, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 for both rails, picking up from both rails. And it was really neat technology, kind of difficult to work with, but once you got 1 or 2 of them bent all the hell, then you get the idea, and it's quite functional. This is a Rapido car with just a single wire, so we're picking up from both ends of the car. So a single wire coming to the truck, and there's a phospho bronze wire. It's kind of in a hook around the axle. Get that? Hook, hook. And amazingly, it works very well. You need one on each end, but it's a good axle wiper. Here's another one on an Athearn tail car. And of course, you know, Athearn has sintered wheels, that's S-I-N-T-E-R, wheels on one side and plastic on the other. So we're picking up what we're here from the track through the axle to a phosphor bronze wire with this like shepherd's crook hook on it. and then it goes back to here where we've got a wire going into the frame of the car. Works pretty well, but you still see flickering. So at one point, I was checking websites, and I got onto the Australian Model Railroaders group, and somebody has suggested, gee, keep it simple, just wrap some 28 gauge wire around your axles. And I think they suggested 5 wraps or something like that. So wrapped around. And then did it on both sides, join them, and then we've got a wire going into the caboose here. It produced a lot of drag. So I snipped it back to about 5 wraps, and that seemed to be pretty good. And it was adequate to pick up power most of the time and power up the 1.5 volt bulbs inside the marker lights there. So you guys probably remember these. These boards came out, probably 10 years ago, or maybe longer, from Walthers to go inside their Walthers cars. I believe these are 6-volt bulbs in here, and this thing would just flip over with these rivet-like contacts and touch these prongs here. And as long as your contact is good here, it provides really pretty good lighting for the car, although you've got these 3 light sources, and they've got light being transmitted along the bar, but it's still flickering. I think it's Mike Polsgrove published this article in April 2011, Light the Passenger Car Interiors with DCC. And so he's got this little DCC light module. Decoder. Yes, it is. It is a decoder. It's DCC. Thank you. So he's got this little DCC decoder that he has managed to wire into this thing and then flip it over on the prongs. And I have not personally done this, but it seems like a reasonable approach. So now it becomes an addressable lighting system. Still, it flickers. So a few more years passed by, and Streamline Back Shop, a guy down in Albany, Alabama, came up with this board. It's really quite elegant. There are something like 12 or 13 little LEDs along this board, the little yellow areas here. And he's got capacitors here and anything else you'd want. And it lights up really nicely. And this is in a Spectrum, a Bachmann Spectrum passenger car. And though you probably can't even detect it from there where you sit, there are some little prongs that come down from the top of the car that meet some prongs that come from the bottom of the car, and they contact each other and provide the light or power for the light board. One of the neat things about this is that here's the observation car for that light board. No wires. No wires hanging around. nothing in the way. It's all up in the ceiling of the car, the roof, and we're all dependent upon these little contacts that are located about here. By the way, these people are in-scale people in an HO car. And they actually fit in the seats well. You don't have to go through the double amputation route to get them to fit. So that's nice. So and as the car goes by, you really can't discern that they are in-scale people.
We prefer little people.
So, if you want to contact this guy for this board, it's sbs4dcc.com. And he has quite an array of tools and modules for DCC.
Are they expensive?
About $25 per board. So if you've
What's
got
the pickup for them?
a 13-car train, yeah, they're expensive.
What's the pickup for the board? So that seems to be the normal problem, is getting the power source.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's that old quandary of time versus money. It's an elegant product.
And you can trim it.
Yes, good point. You can trim it back. So if you need one that's 8 inches long, you can lop it off. So this is a light-it board. And John and I worked with this thing several years ago. It requires you, in order to program it, it requires that you push this little gold button and it starts a timing process. And then over here on your NCE throttle, you're putting in numbers and whatnot, and this thing is ticking away. So it's kind of a beat the clock situation. And I think, just speaking for myself, maybe John too, we learned to hate this thing. It did work eventually, but we just got lucky and hit the right buttons at the right time in order to get it to work. It's about a 1-inch square. These are a couple of capacitors over here, and we were doing it to light up some marker lights here and here, and those are 1.5 volt bulbs, which is kind of the old way of doing it. I never want to see another one of these things again. So that's my endorsement. Oh, I took this car out and tested it up at the club last Saturday early to see if it still had its address in it. And the answer was no. No. Address is gone. Start over. Oops. Well, what you just missed, and I probably can't go back to, was an article about that particular product. Glowing a review in Another process is, or another board or device is the TCS light decoder. Oh, it's not even a decoder. Where is it? Yeah, it provides power of 1.5 volts to these bulbs and these LEDs. And it's a pretty good product. And yes, those are fishing weights. Here's a little bridge rectifier because you have to rectify the DCC signal current to DC. Put this guy in there and off you go. You got power to your bulbs.
What does that run a piece?
They were pretty inexpensive. I would say $10 or less when I bought them.
More than that now.
But there is a quick and elegant way to do this. And this is a board that has been out for a few years. I think we talked about this maybe in January or something like that. We really couldn't recall the name of it. It's called the Volt, put out by Volt Scooter. And these are 3 caps. This thing is flipped over on its back so that you can see it. Again, ample number of LEDs to light up the rooms. And so this thing just slips over. The caps fit in your hallway there. And it is an amazingly nice product. Very little muss and fuss. So that's the Volt Scooter light board. And here it comes packaged to you. You probably can't see that, but it's Volt Scooter Enterprises. And if you want the phone number or address, we can get that to you. It even provides a little screwdriver because there's a pot down here that adjusts the intensity of it. It's got caps in it, so there's no flickering. And then he also provides a little magnet that will turn the board on and off if you want to go that route. This little wire here, this magnet wire, is used to go down to pick up power at your trucks. And then he's got another phosphor-bronze wire here, which I just laughed at as a pickup, but it works extremely well. The guy really knows what he's doing. Price, about 25, 27 bucks. You know, expensive if you have a whole fleet of passenger cars, but it's a fun thing to start with. Okay, non-flickering lights, grow your own. So here's a wheel pickup. These trucks here, the sides of these trucks are metal. This is from Bethlehem Car Works, recently sold, but I think probably still in production. This is an insulated wheel, so non-conductive axle. And what they did is take this circuit board and cut a little strip through the copper so that it no longer conducted from both sides. Got solder joints here going off to either rail and picking up from the metal truck. It works almost perfect. So, we're talking about capacitors and getting rid of the flickering lights. So one day probably a Sunday, I was putting together a car and I ran out of capacitors of normal size. And I had one in one of my junk boxes. And this thing is huge. It's 470 microfarads. And I think it's like 63 volts. Yeah. But it worked. And it fits in there. And this is in a Spectrum car. You can tell that because of this crazy little coupler direction, whatever. Here, these are tape LEDs. So you've got this tape that comes off of a reel, and maybe every inch or so on that tape is an LED. And you can tap into those, very flexible. And I think I only have lights in actual or over actual rooms in this Pullman. So, how do we do this nowadays? Well, this is Katie's electrical pickup trucks. This is 593. It's a very nice product. And Athearn has one as well, both in the $25 range, but really good at solving pickup problems. Here's another one. This is very much like the pickups on a Blackstone HON3 passenger car. Anyway, he's taken it Choo Choo Peter 57 from eBay, and he's made this available, these 3 fingers on it. I've cut it back to desired size and slipped it into this HON3 truck, and there's that penny I was looking for. This is the Katie product. It uses wipers on the axle to conduct from the rails. There are 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 little fingers. They're a little bit fragile, and you only pick up from one side using the Katie, and this has a single wire coming off. The Athearn has one of these little vertical plates that the axle points fit into, and so you pick up from both sides, 2 wires. And here's that previous pickup, just kind of extending off, needing to be clipped off. These fingers easily wrap around the axle. About $1 a piece, something like this. These are probably 27 for 2 here, 25 for 2 here. For a caboose, you need two of them. They come as a pair for $27. You need 2 of them. But on the for the Katies, but on the Athearns, since we're picking up from both sides, and it does it so well, you could probably get away with using just 1 truck as your pickup, a power pickup on a caboose. So, 2 for 1. Both nice products. If I had to choose one as being just slightly better, I would choose the Athearn one. And it might be a little bit cheaper by about $2 a pair. This is real cheap.
Does anyone make 6-wheel trucks for passenger cars?
6-wheel pickups? I don't recall, but I have in my collection, I've just kind of stretched the pickups out to the 2 extreme axles. So, streamlined back shop axle wiper comes in a little phosphor bronze plate. You punch them out. This is what you get. You bend up the tabs a bit and just slip it into your truck, and you're ready to power up the car. A very nice and relatively cheap product. These are the ESU current collectors, and they're wipers. this wipes against the back of a truck, of a wheel back. And here's a single one. This is an insulated board, so these two do not contact or short out each other. These are quite nice. Another penny I lost. You get 8 of these in a package for maybe $12 or something like that. And for my money, they are the most useful wheel wipers. This is a Rapido car, passenger car with the ESU wipers on them. And so we've got one wiper here against the back of this wheel, one over here, one over here, one over here. So I've got really good pickup. I linked them together. Red wire, black wire going into my car. Almost bulletproof. Diode bridge rectifier. Okay. So we need this rectifier to convert the DCC power to DC. In some of these products, they have these rather flimsy little rectifiers that have little flimsy arms on them. They easily break. So I've moved to doing these more heavy-duty bridge rectifiers with prongs like this. I don't think I could possibly break one of these.
I think it looks like some sort of satellite or something.
Yeah, you bend them out like that. Now the next little gizmo. This one came out well. Good. So this is what is currently called a buckboard, or a variable voltage regulator. Our power is coming in here from our truck. Well, it's coming from the truck, but it's going through the previous device.
Bridge rectifier?
Bridge rectifier. Oh, diabetes is so much fun. So coming in, bridge rectifier, coming in here, and you have a selection of voltages out. There's a 5 volt, 3.3, 2.5, 1.8, 1.5, and the default voltage coming out, if you don't use any of these, is 1.2. The sweet thing about this board is that it doesn't create any heat. And in some closed cars, the heat can be a threat to the plastic. What you do is just put a dollop of solder across. I think the one I'm using recently is this at 2.5. The solder joins these two pads. I've got perfect rectified voltage out here. The sweet thing is that you do have a selection here. So there's a size comparison. It's not a very big board. That's a quarter on the side. There is a Big Brother variety, and there's a little brass screw up here that allows you to select slowly the voltage that you want. It's a little bigger. It should be a little bit more problematic on a passenger car, but it should be a good fit for a caboose. Capacitor. So what I'm using these days is 25 volt, 1000 microfarad capacitor. You know, size-wise, not too bad. And it has enough, it stores enough power to keep my lights on. So here are the components. And here, in this case, I've used the Athearn truck, the buckboard, capacitor. These are a couple of LEDs over here. I've already forgotten what the hell this was.
Bridge rectifier.
Bridge rectifier. Damn.
I thought you said a bridge.
And so here it is all connected together. And these are two little 0402 LEDs. You can pop those into Tomar's Ad Lake marker lights, and they do wonderfully. If they're too bright, you can just go back to your board and put in a different voltage. So, this is what I end up with. This is a brass coach with the streamlined back shop board in it. And it will pretty much go around the layout all day long without flickering. I think in this particular picture, the brightness is a little intense. And it's much more subdued in reality. And here's what we started out with, that battery-powered marker lights for an Amtrak car. Okay, I am finished.
Thank you. Appreciate it, your effort that you put into this. And you guys, if you have any ideas or any requests for clinics, or if you want to volunteer to give one, please talk to me. This was a request, and Nick Muff is going to give us a couple clinics that were on request. John says he has another idea percolating, so please talk to me, because it's tough to come up with this stuff. So, or you could just live with me giving a clinic every month. Oh boy. Hey Levi, come on up here, will you? Embarrass you in front of everybody. Steve, you got that pen. I think any young railroader should have a railroad hat, don't you? BNSF, or BN pin. So you can put it on the hat. Cool. He looks like he belongs, don't you think? Before you know, you guys are going to be at a railroad crossing someday in the future, and the engineer's going to stick his head out, and it'll be Levi. I know you guys. So.
That would be cool.
Anything else for the good of the order, or the bad of the order, or anything? Any requests? Any?
Just a remark to Levi.
Beg your pardon?
Just a remark to Levi, regarding the engineering.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that one of our club members joined us, just a little bit older than you. And he stayed with us for a while, went to college, got a degree in engineering, minored in math, and went down to the Durango and Silverton, and went to a little, excuse me, job fair there. And they hired him on, and he is now their chief engineer for construction. He also knows everything about the railroad, runs the engines, worked as a fireman for a while, was an engineer, now is pretty much supervising the day-to-day operations of the Durango-Silverton narrow gauge railroad. So it does happen.
Yeah, stick with it, follow your dreams. In the back of the room, there's some Great Northern goats that are, James, you bring those? Or did you, Steve brought them, okay. And those are great magazines. I think there's $2 a piece. Is that what you?
No, they're free.
Oh, they're free? Oh, my goodness. And then there's some NMRA magazines that I have to look at the mailing label and see it's Phil and Susan Gonzalez. So if you wondered about the NMRA magazine, go pick one up. In other words, take the free stuff, guys, so I don't have to pack it home, okay? All right, anything else? Appreciate some help putting stuff away, and thanks for showing up, guys. Jim, John, did you have a good time?
Yeah.
You coming back? We didn't scare you?
Not yet.
All right, well, we'll try again next month. All right, guys, thank you.